Toughness, tenacity, hard-working. All this and more describes two-time Stanley Cup champion Chris Dingman. The Edmonton native grew up idolizing the great Oilers teams of the 1980s and dreaming of playing in the NHL. His team-first approach, combined with a fun-loving zest for life, made Chris an integral part of the Lightning Stanley Cup championship run. Inside the Lightning, Chris Dingman, next on Sun Sports.
Chris was part of the growing period with the Lightning organization when Jay Fisher and John Tortorella put that team and orchestrated that team together. That very proudly Chris was part of putting that puzzle together that those two gentlemen did, and that part was really exciting for me to watch, the development and growth of that team together as a team, as a young team and coming together.
That was pretty neat, you know. It was, my second time winning, and it was, a little bit of different perspective. But I mean, the way that year kind of came together. I mean, the year before we made some really big strides. Obviously losing out to Jersey in the second round, which is a great championship team. But that whole year, things just kind of seemed to come together for us, and it was a young team that just kind of came into its own and just really developed into a championship team. And, to be able to be a part of it and play and, contribute was pretty neat. Obviously with having Andy and him not winning and going 20 some odd years, whatever it was pretty special for him. And, obviously the guys in the room for, an organization that had gone through some lean times and, had made the playoffs and stuff, to turn things around and really be a part of that was pretty special for myself.
It's still the same emotion. The first one is always a thrill, but when you go into the second one and it's like he's achieving this again, a lot of hockey players don't ever achieve that in their whole lifetime.
How do you compare the two, the Avalanche in 2000, 2001 and the Lightning?
Winning's great. I can't complain. It's pretty neat. There's a lot of guys, like I said. I was lucky enough to play with some guys. Obviously, Dave Anderchuk was a guy, and, in Colorado with Ray Bourque, who'd gone 20 years also, who was 41 at the time by the time he won. So you kind of have an appreciation for what it takes to win and how long you can go before winning. And, the differences between the two teams, I think, Colorado was a team that had some established guys that had been, Forsberg, Sakic, Rob Blake, Adam Foote. You could go on and on down the line of players that are, future Hall of Famers. And you look at the Lightning team as, Vinny and Richie and Marty and guys like that were kind of guys that were starting out, up and coming guys that were just coming into their own and being elite level players. So I think that'd be, one of the differences between the two teams.
In Colorado, there's always the expectation that they're going to win. So we always felt the whole time like they're moving towards something. Here, they were they were achieving more than they'd ever expected to, and Calgary was such an unknown team, no one knew really what was going to happen, so it was very stressful.
I think two real similarities were both times I'd won, we were down 3-2, and we'd gone in and won Game 6 and then came back home and won Game 7. Obviously with Colorado, we were down 3-2 to Jersey and we went in there and won. And then obviously with Calgary, so I think it was kind of neat to be able to draw on the experience of being down 3-2, and if you can go in and find a way to win that game, which we did, really stepped it up, and all the confidence coming home for Game 7. You can't really put it into words, but you just have this confidence that you're going to get it done, and that's the feeling we had both times. And it's pretty neat all around.
It was tremendous experiences for you, but if we take you back further, back to when you were first selected by Calgary, 19th pick in '94. For a kid that grew up in Edmonton and now you're selected by Calgary, what was your reaction to that?
It was pretty funny. I was pretty excited to get drafted. Obviously, anytime you can get drafted pretty high, it's pretty special. And playing close to home was pretty good because my parents could come up and come to the games and whatnot. But I definitely took a lot of ribbing because my buddies still this day are still a diehard Oiler fan. So it was kind of a big joke, growing up in Edmonton, getting drafted by the hated rivals, because obviously, there was, obviously the big rivalries back then between the Flames and the Oilers. So, I definitely took a lot of ribbing about getting drafted, but at that point, I didn't matter who drafted me. I was just ecstatic to get drafted. So, but it was pretty neat to go to Calgary and have that kind of that buzz about it, just from being from Edmonton. So it's kind of neat.
I worked for a corporation that owned the Oilers originally, for Dr. Allard's group, and they were the original ownership group of the Edmonton Oilers. And as a player and a player coach, I met Glenn Sather, and through my design practice, did some work for the Sathers, and Darlene and I became friends with the Sathers and stuff. And Chris, from the time he was probably 4 years old, said to us that he was going to play in the NHL. And they used to walk up the back alley. There's an outdoor rink just up a couple of blocks from us here, and the kids, neighborhood kids, and Chris used to walk up the back alley and play all the time.
After '94, you work your way through, and in '97, you make your debut in the NHL. Take us back to that moment and the excitement of getting into the league.
Yeah, it was pretty neat. I think at the time I was playing with Theron Fleury and Andrew Castles, who are two really good players. So it's pretty nerve-wracking being a young guy, and just trying to fit in and try and find your way. And I think it was like the first or second game of the year we were playing Detroit, and we play against, I think I was starting lineup. I think I was lined up against Stevie Yzerman and McCarty and guys like this that are Brendan Shanahan. It's pretty intimidating, coming up and stuff. And it was a pretty neat experience. And obviously just to make it to the NHL, I was just ecstatic. You know what I mean? Because there's so many guys that get drafted and never play, and be able to actually make it and actually play, it was pretty surreal.
Chris, you have all that success your rookie year. Then in February '99, you're traded, just played a couple games with the Flames, one with the Avalanche. That had to be a difficult process after that first season to go through.
Yeah, it was tough. I mean, you play a full year and you think you're going to continue to go on and get better, and then you get sent down. It's kind of a tough pill to swallow. And then getting traded, when you're drafted, you just have this feeling you're going to play with that team forever, and that's your team. And then you get traded. It's kind of tough, but you got to look at it that another team wanted you, and you have the opportunity to go play. And I got traded and went to Hershey, and it was real positive when I was down in Hershey. I had Mike Foligno as the head coach, and Jay Wells, who were really nice guys, and had played the game, and really, one of the first couple coaches that really took the time to try and understand me and figure me out, and treated me really well and actually talked to me, and so it was a real good experience having them, and the way they treated me was unbelievable. I actually got called up for one game in Chicago, and Colorado played back-to-back, been some rough games, and first shift of the game I lined up against Bob Probert and fought him and did really well, and then ended up fighting him again, and then got sent down after the game, and it's kind of tough too, because I thought anytime you fight Bob Probert, it's pretty scary.
Yeah.
It did pretty good against him, and but it was a real positive experience. Michel Goulet, who's director of player personnel, had talked to me and said that you come to camp, you have an opportunity to make the team next year, and so that was something that was really positive. And then the following year I had a chance at training camp and ended up making the team and playing a couple of years there. So. And
they did say that you work hard and you'd be back, and sure enough, in '99, 2000, you are back, and you helped them to a division title. That had to feel like, all right, now I'm back in the flow again.
Yeah, it was it was real positive. Like I said, at the end of that year, the meetings and stuff, and after skating, and then the next year making the team out of training camp, and it was really exciting to make a team like that. I mean, you look at the talent they had on that team with all the Hall of Famers, Patrick Law and Joe Sakic and Peter Forsberg. And, it was a real positive year all in all. I had my best year professionally. I had 8 goals and 3 assists. And, it was a really positive experience. And it was, to be able to play on that team was something I really took pride in, because, how good of players they were and what a good team was. And, the championships they'd won, and just that whole organization just exemplified winning and what it took to win, and breeding winning and stuff. So it was great just to be able to be there and be a part of it, and just play there.
And then we mentioned the 2000-2001 Stanley Cup championship, and then you're traded after that season. Are you thinking, here we go again, I've got to prove myself over again? Yeah,
it was, it just seems like my career, every high there's a low, and I didn't play the first round of the playoffs, and then I got a chance the second round against LA, Game 3 to go in. Dave Reed broke his jaw, so I got an opportunity and went in and played every game except for one that run, and so that was pretty special. And you know, I was just coming off such a high of playing, and you know, I think in the finals I was playing like 7-8 minutes a night, which for that team I was really proud of, and being able to win. And then you know, actually it was funny because the weekend of the draft, a friend of mine thought he was going to get traded, so he's like, let me know if I get traded. And then I woke up Sunday morning, you know, and there was like 12 or 14 messages on my phone, and I'm definitely not that popular a guy. So
the first trade was really hard. I think every trade. It's the relationships that you leave behind that are really hard, you know? You meet a lot of people in every city you're in, and it's great, and you have a great time, and you have all these relationships, and then all of a sudden they're just severed really quickly.
You know, it was tough. I mean, obviously you win with that team, and you know, you're really proud to be there and be a part of that. And you know, but from talking to different people, Chris Drury knew Jason Karmanos, and they said they'd tried to trade for me earlier in that year. So you know, it was real positive. They'd wanted me and stuff, and then I went there, and you know, I was gonna have an opportunity to play more, and you know, ended up, you know, tearing my groin in training camp, and was hurt most of the year there, and didn't really have the opportunity to play there. And you know, it was kind of a really tough time. You know, I only played like, I think 15 games there or something, or 20 games maybe. So it was really tough, you know, going there and not playing.
We humorously said he was a standout basketball player because he grew to be 6'1", 6'2", 6'3" at a very early age. I mean, he was 2 feet taller than a lot of kids in junior high school and stuff. So he excelled at basketball. He excelled at baseball.
You grew up in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Hockey obviously had to be a part of your everyday existence, I would think. I mean, how big was it for you?
Pretty big. You know, I played a whole bunch of sports growing up, but you know, obviously when you got winter for 8-9 months of the year, chances are you're going to play a sport that's you know, best suited in cold weather. So, you know, I just, much like any other guy, I grew up you know, on the outdoor rinks, you know, every night of the week, you know, basically till I couldn't feel my toes, and you go out and skate and just have fun. So, you know, hockey was a big part growing up, you know, just being out in the outdoor rink and just having fun and scrimmaging and just playing. So,
because of his size, he found it in a lot of cases very frustrating, because of course he had to put up with a lot of name calling, that sort of thing. So he had to toughen his skin up when he was relatively young. So he wouldn't take, the comments would bother him. Like when you're 14 years old, or 13 or 14 or 15, you're on the ice and parents are yelling, "You goon," and you know, "Get away from my son," and you know, that sort of thing. He had to learn to control a lot of his emotions.
Yeah, it was an issue a couple times. You know, I developed a lot quicker than most kids, so I mean, I was always a bigger kid. And you know, I even played with kids 2-3 years older than me, and I was still almost bigger than most of them. And you know, I got a couple games, you know, when it was okay, and then we got into contact, you know, definitely being bigger. You know, you hit some kids, you hurt them, and so, you know, their parents aren't too happy with that. So had some experiences with some parents that were a little over the top, you know, which is kind of tough when you're 10, 11, 12 years old, when you have parents screaming at you and stuff. It was kind of hard, but you know, just try to have fun with it and stuff. You know, because you know, when you hit, you know, when you're having body contact, I mean, you're not trying to hurt people, but sometimes when you're bigger, you do.
He would always stick up for the underdog. I mean, anyone that was smaller than him at school or whatever, if that kid got picked on, then Chris would step in, because I think he was doing the reverse adage. You know, he was being picked on as a bigger person type of thing, so he would protect the smaller person.
So when you're 10 and 11, I mean, you're playing kids 12, 13, 14, 2-3 years older than you. Did that help you, I think, probably accelerate your progress in that sport?
Yeah, definitely. I think, you know, I think I was maybe, you know, obviously I grew up a little quicker and I was physically bigger. But I think anytime you're playing with better players and bigger players and faster players, it's going to make you a better player. So I think definitely I developed a lot quicker than kids my own age. And definitely it's more of a challenge to play with older players and kids that are faster. So I think definitely it sped up my progress.
You mentioned your parents and some of the things they had to hear from the other parents. How much of an influence were they in continuing your hockey career? And when you look back now, how big were they in shaping who you are?
Definitely a big part of it. I mean, both of them. I mean, you know, anytime you got to get up at 5 in the morning on a Sunday morning to go, you know, drive your kid to practice in the middle of nowhere in some small town just so you can get ice. Yeah, I definitely have a new appreciation now that I'm older of what they did and what they went through. I mean, they're both very supportive. Obviously, my mom, you know, my sister, like when parents were yelling and my mom would get back, and you know, you realize how much they loved you when, you know, they're defending you and stuff when other parents are yelling at you. And you know, my dad, same thing. He was very supportive with, you know, all the sports I played, you know, with baseball and different stuff, traveling between the two of them. And my dad just told me, he says, as long as you're, you know, you're working hard and committed to hockey, you know, you don't really have to get a job and work. But he's like, as soon as you're not committed, not working hard, you're gonna get a job. So it was a pretty easy choice for me to work hard at hockey and, you know, try to do something with it and have fun.
You can do whatever you do 9 to 5 or whatever, but you want your kids to be good people. Chris is a good person. He's a good human being. And that's what we're as proud of as anything, is that feedback we get from people and whatever, is that he is a good person.
Off the ice, he's a pretty laid-back guy. He likes to just hang out and golf and plays drums. He's a good guy. He's a good guy around the house. He's a good guy at home. He's easygoing all the time, despite what he has to do when he's on the ice.
You work hard on the ice, and you mentioned having fun. It seems when you get off the ice, you like to have a good time. You're kind of the life of the party, and you really do enjoy life, don't you? You enjoy exploring things and living life.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I definitely have a lot of interests and hobbies, but you know, I was pretty quiet, hard to believe. When I was growing up, I was a pretty shy kid, just because I was a bigger kid and not really sure of myself, and it just seems like I just kind of turned an age, maybe like 18, 19, I started having confidence, and I just decided I liked having fun, like joking around, like being a jokester, and I don't know, you gotta enjoy life. I think, you know, there's so many ups and downs in hockey, especially my career, and you know, I've sat out a lot of games, been healthy scratches, which is tough, and you just gotta try and make the best of it and have fun. So that's one thing I've always tried to do, is just have fun and joke around, because I think, you know, you're playing your best and you're at your best when you're loose and relaxed and having a good time. So I definitely like to have fun and joke around with the guys.
Let's talk about moving away from home, juniors, what that experience was like for you.
It was pretty neat. You know, it's kind of scary at first. I was actually drafted by Seattle, a team, the Seattle Thunderbirds, out of the Bantam draft, and actually got traded for Chris Osgood, me and like 6 other guys. So, you know, it was kind of tough pill to swallow again. You know, I guess I was setting myself up for a lot of trades down in the future or whatever. But, you know, so, you know, I was all set to go there. I went there they had the Memorial Cup there. I had my parents down. And then I got traded right after the Memorial Cup to Brandon. So it was kind of weird, you know, like, kind of scary, you know, you think that nobody wants you, and actually Brandon really wanted me, you know, the GM had told me. And I sat down with my dad and my mom, we talked about it, and they said, well, just go and try it out. If you don't like it, you can come home.
Darlene spent time with Chris, just teaching him some life skills, you know, about food, clothing, and stuff that you do as a parent.
Doing your own laundry.
Doing your own laundry, how to fold things, how to do things so they look crisp and clean without having to iron them all the time, and things of that nature.
You know, I had 4 really good years there. You know, I went to 2 Memorial Cups when I was there, and had a really good experience. But you know, at the start, I wasn't really sure, because I got traded from a team that I was all set to go to in Seattle, Washington. You know, home of grunge. I was really into music, to Brandon, Manitoba, population 40,000 people, in the middle of the prairies, 40 below. So it's definitely something.
A little culture shock.
A bit of a change. So.
Now we transition back to Tampa Bay and talk about life in the Bay Area and playing with the Lightning and your experiences here.
Yeah, it's been great. You know, coming from Carolina, like I said, I was hurt and didn't really have an opportunity to play a lot there, and I came here and had an opportunity to play, and you know, it's been great. I mean, it's nice when you come out of the rink and it's, you know, 85 degrees, and you know, I'm an avid golfer, so it's nice when you go play golf and get away and do some fishing and stuff. So it's pretty neat. You know, growing up where I did in such a cold climate, to be able to come to an area like this where obviously the weather is beautiful pretty much year round, where you can golf year round and fish, and do whatever. So it's been a great experience.
You mentioned you have a lot of hobbies: golf, fishing, drums,
Yeah.
but also a movie critic.
Yeah.
How did you get into blogging as a movie critic?
I just was approached about doing it because, you know, everyone knows I'm big into music and movies and whatnot. And take a little heat because usually, you know, me and my wife go to the average 3 to 4 movies a week, depending on, you know, the schedule, obviously.
Actually, I love movies as much as he does, so we fight over who gets to go to which movie next. So we usually enjoy the same movies. Every once in a while, he drags me to a movie that I absolutely don't want to go to, but we usually like the same ones, so it works out.
I was approached about doing it, and I like talking, so it seems like it'd be a good fit. So I don't know if people agree with my reviews or not, but I try to be honest and forthright. So
Here's when we look back on this, when you've had so many peaks in this game, and you've also had your share of trials and tribulations that you've had to work through. What will you take away from this game, and what will you hope people think about how you played?
You know, I hope people just say that, you know, there was a guy that maybe wasn't the most talented guy, wasn't the best skater, which is I hear a lot of, but I just hopefully people think, you know, and say that there's a guy that worked hard every single night, and that's something I try to do and exemplify as every day. I just work as hard as I can and try to be a hardest working guy. And, you know, as far as the game, obviously winning, I'm going to take away the experience of winning and what it takes, and the special relationships that you develop. I mean, there's something to be said when you go through, you know, 20, 27 playoff games and play over 100 games in a year with guys and play with broken fingers and broken bones and different stuff. That's something you can take away. That's a bonding experience with guys that you can't have with other people. So, you know, it's something definitely I'll take away from the game. It's just the experiences and just the friendships. I mean, just, you know, I've been traded a lot, so I've been on a lot of different teams, but I just look at it, that's that many more friends I have out there in the world, so it's pretty neat. So I just, the friendships definitely, people I've met and the experiences, and being able to go to different cities that you normally wouldn't go to. So I think that's definitely some of the things I'll take away.
You know, he's a team player, and he'll put the team above and beyond anything.
Or people in
For
general.
people in general, and that's the kind of person that he is.
I think the proudest thing, and I'm going to say it, is that Chris set a goal for himself at a very young age, and he achieved that goal. And a lot of people in life never achieve their goals. So for him, he's got to be extremely proud of himself, as we are proud of him as well.